So you're about to get back in the sky after a long break of jumping, whether it's because you're only jumping 4 months a year, like us in Canada, or because we just went through a pandemic that caused many drop zones to stop their activities, and so it might be a while since you've jumped. When starting to skydive after a break, there's some elements to take into consideration. Some of you may even need to do recurrency jumps with an instructor. So in this video, we're gonna talk about the USPA's recommendations in terms of recurrency jump and getting back into skydiving after a break. And we have a special guest with us, a skydiving instructor, to let us know more about his own take on getting back into the sky after a long break. Coming up. What's up, Skydivers? It's Catherine Bernier from Skydive Vibes, sharing the passion of skydiving and helping you become better and safer skydivers. So if you're new here and you are a skydiver or looking to become one, make sure to subscribe not to miss our weekly videos all about skydiving. Being a current skydiver really is the key of being a safe skydiver. And by current skydiver, we mean a skydiver that is jumping on a regular basis, which allows him or her to always be aware and have fresh memory of the emergency procedures, techniques, and skills for skydiving. So first, let's check, according to the USPA Skydiver Instruction Manual, what they are defining as an uncurrent skydiver and what are their recommendations. So first, if you are an AFF student and you don't have your A license just yet, well, if you didn't jump in the last 30 days, you are an uncurrent skydiver and you need to do a recurrency jump. If you are currently an A licensed skydiver, well, if you've not been jumping for the last 60 days, you will have to do a recurrency jump as well. For the B license holder, we are talking about 90 days, and for the C and D license holders, we are talking about 180 days without jumping. So if you're exceeding that number of days without jumping, depending on your license level, you will have to do some sort of a recurrency jump with an instructor or a coach. You may want to check with your skydiving association because those recommendations may be different, but keep in mind that for the USPA, those are recommendations and not rules. So it's not mandatory, but highly recommended. So now that we know what is an uncurrent skydiver, depending on their license level, let's talk to our guest, who is DJ Marvin from the Rating Center. Hey DJ, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited to be here and join you and the Skydive Vibe community.
I'm so pumped to have you here on the show at Skydive Vibes. Super excited to have your knowledge with us here. First of all, can you simply introduce yourself to the Skyvibers?
Yeah, my name is DJ Marvin. I own and operate the Rating Center, a full-time rating school where we train instructors and coaches. We're based out of Skydive Spaceland Houston, Spaceland Dallas, and Spaceland San Marcos. I also am an instructor. I've been a skydive instructor since 2002 and have about 8,500 skydives.
And I think that you're not only an instructor, but also an examiner, right?
Yeah, I'm an examiner. I'm an AFF examiner, coach examiner, tandem examiner.
Great. And for those of you who don't know what is an examiner, the examiners are actually training the coaches and the instructors. So that's pretty neat. So like I just said, I went over the recommendations of the USPA in terms of what is an uncurrent skydiver, depending on the license level you're at. Since those are recommendations, I'd like to know what is your take on those. Do you agree? Do you think it makes sense?
My recommendations match what USPA's recommendations are. If you're a student jumper, if you haven't jumped in 30 days, you should go back and do recurrency training. You should get with an instructor and make sure that information is fresh in your brain before you make a skydive. For an A license holder, I agree with the 60-day number. After skydiving for 23 years, I have seen how quickly we lose that information, and I think it's very valid and very helpful for us to feel comfortable, not just safe in the sky by doing so. At 90 days, I have gone 90 days without skydiving with 8,000 skydives, and I still did a recurrency jump, even though my license requires 180 days, and it just helped me feel comfortable. I think I would have been safe. I think I would have been okay. But comfort and confidence makes a huge difference in our ability to perform safely in the sky. So I went out with a buddy who was an instructor. We did a check dive. We made it kind of a joke and we made it fun. but that fun made me comfortable and allowed me to have a good time and enjoy my first skydive back after a break.
All right, so that's good to know. And what is actually a recurrency jump? What do you do in those jumps, and who should you jump with to make your recurrency jump?
USPA has different recommendations for different levels of licensing. Of course, if you're a student, your recurrency jump must be done with an instructional rating holder. That means either with a coach or an instructor. If you have a license, you need to do your recurrency jump under the supervision of a coach. Although the industry as a common standard will make different recommendations. Myself, Skydive Spaceland, and other organizations will recommend that if you have an A license, that means you can go 60 days without a jump, you jump with a coach. If you go more than 90 days, that's what it takes for a B license holder. They recommend an A license holder use an instructor. So basically, if you're one level uncurrent higher than you are, use an instructor. It's smarter. I've seen jumpers on a skydive who've actually used that instructor and needed that instructor skill set to be there to help them out. And of course, the knowledge base before training is going to be stronger and help you feel more comfortable and confident. As far as the skydive itself goes, USPA requires for an A license holder proving stability on all accesses. So an A license check dive does that the easiest way. It's an undocked exit. You do a figure eight, which is just a left 360, right 360, a back loop. The instructor or coach moves back about 20 feet. You move forward to dock. So you prove that you're able to control yourself on all accesses and that you can perform safely within a group. And of course, get away from the group, track away, open safely, fly a predictable pattern, and land safely. For an A license, they're very prescribed. For B, C, and D, they say prove the ability that your license requires. I'm paraphrasing there. For the most part, we still use that A license check dive for B, C, and D license holders. And for any license, I always plan points after. Whether you have just an A license, most people can do some simple side bodies or compressed accordions afterwards. If it's a D license holder, buddy, then I might take it to the next level.
Very interesting. And on a more general level, I wanted to know what are your recommendations, not only on the recurrency jump aspect of things, but more about every skydiver that are about to jump after a break. What should we consider? What should we practice? What should we consider in terms of our gear as well? What are your personal advice or tips you can give?
The first thing I would recommend is get into your emergency procedures. That is the part that scares most of us. That is the part that gives us most concern. The Australian Parachute Federation, or the APF, has some really great videos out there on malfunctions and what to do in those cases. USPA Skydiver Information Manual, Section 5-1, has some great things on emergency procedure review. And hopefully your student manual from your drop zone will also give you good information. I would definitely start there. If you have your rig at home, if you do own your own rig, put your rig on, tighten it down, put the handles where they belong, and go through your series of practice handle touches. Reach back and touch your main handle as if you were deploying your parachute. Lay down. Your rig fits you differently when you're in free fall than it does when you're standing up. While you're laying there on your couch or on your floor, reach back, touch that handle a few times, and actually grab it as if your life depended on it. Stand up and look at your emergency handles. Grab your emergency handles and simulate peeling and cutting away and pulling your reserve. Go through those motions. Get on Google Earth. As skydivers, we can't help but think about skydiving every day, all day. Don't tell your boss I said this, but chances are you're sitting at your desk at work watching Skydive Vibe right now, and you should probably be working. We won't tell anybody. But get on Google Earth and look at the aerial photo of your drop zone and see what you think your pattern would be. Look up what the winds are that day. Hopefully your drop zone has a wind meter available online. If not, there are plenty of resources. And then predict what your pattern's going to be. This way, when you show up to the drop zone, you know your emergency procedures, you know your equipment, you know your pattern, or at least an idea of what it could be that day, and your confidence will be much better. Your chances of success and enjoyment is going to be there as well.
Well, those are really interesting and definitely worth doing. So make sure, guys, if you're about to jump after a break, or just if you're starting a new skydiving season, just like us in Canada, we actually spend up to 6 months without jumping here in Canada every year. So those tips are really interesting even for us, even in a situation where there's no such thing as a pandemic. Thank you so much, DJ, for sharing all that knowledge with us.
Catherine, thank you so much for having me. Skydive Vibers out there, you guys keep rocking, keep skydiving, stay current, and we hope to see you back in the sky.
And guys, if you want to check the Rating Center, simply look in the description of this video. There's going to be a link to their website and what they do. If you want to be a coach or an instructor one day, they might be worth checking out. So I hope you've liked this video. If you want to watch other videos from Skydive Vibes, you can simply click here and make sure to subscribe not to miss our weekly videos all about skydiving. On that, keep jumping, stay safe, and blue skies.